Steve Cassidy here. I'm going to talk today about another aspect of Python web development with Bottle, and that's the issue of serving static files, style sheets and JavaScript. So I've got a little web application that I developed in the previous video, which is just taking a list of movies and generating a page that displays that in a table. And here's the output of that, and I can refresh that. So we've just got our list of movies, and we have a fairly simple structure. We've got a list of dictionaries here. We're really just passing that into the template to be rendered, and the template has this for loop that is iterating over the movies and generating a table row for every movie with the rating, title and income fields there for that. So we have a page title up here. So that's good, and it works, and it generates this page for us. However, it's not very exciting, and we could have a nicer page layout. And the way that we know that we have nicer page layouts is by including a style sheet. And so if we were to include a style sheet here, okay, so there's the link for the style sheet that I would include in my page. And so I can restart my browser now, and of course I've got to write my style sheet. So let's create a new folder here. New folder. And I'm just going to keep all of the static assets. Static in this context means that these are files that don't change. They're not generated by a program. They are just files that I have written, and they are not going to change. So I might have a rule for the body that says that the font family is sans serif, and the width is 400, so 500 pixels, and the margin is auto. And so there is the style sheet that I want to apply. So I'm running this now, and I'll go back to my browser and I can do a request. I get exactly the same thing. My browser has issued a request for the style sheet, but we get a 404 response because the Bottle web server that we're running, remember we're running this little built-in Bottle web server, doesn't know how to do that. We haven't actually defined a route. The only route that we've got in the code is one that is serving the root page, the slash. So when it gets a URL staticstyle.css, it doesn't know what to do. So I need to modify my program now then to tell it what to do in the case of that static style sheet. So I need another route for static files. So I could do this and have one route that says to serve the static file, and I could work out how to return this particular file, or the contents of that file, which is that one that I just wrote, in response to this address here. But that's sort of, that's only a partial solution. Really what we want to do is to, we might have other style sheets, we might have JavaScript files, and we want to put them all, we might have images, for example, and we want to put them all in to this directory. And so I need a better way than just having one rule for every file that I want to actually run. And so the answer is to use another feature of Bottle, which is that I use an argument here, a little wildcard match thing here. So this file path basically says that what we're going to have is something that is a path, that is a directory path, if you like, the path to a file. So in the simplest case, that's the name of the file, and that will then be passed to our function. So in the case that we've seen so far, the handler for this URL didn't have any arguments. In this case it does, because it's the thing that we are going to match. So this thing here, this part of the path, which in our simple case is going to be style.css, is going to be passed into this function. And now what I need to do is to work out how to return essentially just the contents of that file back to the browser. Now I can write code for this. All I need to do is to find that file, open it up, read the contents, and send it back in the response. It turns out this is a very common thing to do, and Bottle has a way built in of doing that work for us. So what I can do is return static file path, root is static. So what this is saying is use a static file handler. I've got to go back and modify my import line. I'll return import static file from the Bottle package as well. This static file handler basically says go looking somewhere in the static folder, which is this folder here, for this file path. So in our simple case we'll get style.css. It'll go looking in the static folder, it'll find that, and it'll send that back as the response. So that's the theory, that's what's supposed to happen. So let's see if that works. So if I restart my server, go back to my browser here, and now what I should see is that the request for static style.css was now successful, and we can actually check that by going in and requesting that file directly. And we get that file that I wrote. Okay. So let's do a little bit more, and let's insert an image into our style sheet, into our page. So I'll have a thing there, and I'm going to say image source equals static image.png, and let me go and find an image to put there. Okay, so I've found an image. It's actually a JPEG, so image.jpg, and we're going to insert that into the page there. So let's have a look at what that looks like when we run. Restart so that we can pick up those changes. Add that in, and look, there's my image, my flowers. So I need to style that so that it fits across the page. There, so I've added the style sheet rule to make my image 500 pixels wide, and we can refresh that, and we have now a nice header image at the top, and you can see that the requests that we're getting through here for the style sheet and the image are both being answered by this bit of code here that is matching that file path and just returning a static file. So this is a standard thing that we'll include pretty much in all of our Python applications where we want to use a style sheet or serve JavaScript pages, and it will enable us to reference those static assets in our web applications.